So you know the old saying that shit happens? Well, guess what? My brand new Indian motorcycle broke down. People always ask, do Dick and I wear video cameras every time we go for a ride? Definitely not. We like to keep it really casual and just enjoy the moment when we're out on motorcycles. And I think the less you have distracting you when you're riding a motorcycle, the better. Wouldn't you know, one of those times, only the second ride I have on my new Indian, my bike breaks down. It was a beautiful sunny Sunday morning, and Dick and I decided to take our two daughters for breakfast at the Ace. So we decided to let my eldest daughter ride pillion with me on the Indian motorcycle, and then our youngest rode pillion on Dick's bike. We had a lovely breakfast at the Ace, chatted with some of the people there about our bikes, and hopped back on the 406. As we came into Hanger Lane, I stopped at the stoplight to the north end of the rotary. As the light turned green, I slowly twisted the throttle in first gear. As I head up the hill, the bike starts bucking like a bronco. I'm like, this is not right. So I look down and I notice on the display, HOT, hot is flashing, the engine warning light is flashing, and I immediately say to Dick, something is wrong with the bike. I try to upshift. I don't even have time to panic, this is all happening so fast, and the bike is just not having it. Regardless of how much pressure I put on the throttle, it just continued to go rant, 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 rant. I knew I had to get off the road because there was something really wrong with the bike. As the temperature of the bike reached critical, forcing emergency misfires, I was seeing red. I had never seen this hot light before, and it wasn't the good kind that promises a fresh, tasty donut. As I pulled into the slip road and found a safe parking spot on the side, the bike belched a massive amount of fluid and splashed on the ground underneath my feet. As I looked down, I could smell a sickeningly sweet smell and noticed the unmistakable iridescence of green engine fluid. It being a Sunday, we tried calling the shop was closed. We knew we weren't going to be able to get anyone to help us. We do have a subscription for roadside assistance, but on a Sunday, by the time we called somebody to come and help us and get the bike up on a tow truck, it would take twice as long as just trying to push the bike from point A to point B. We had 2 miles to get from the roundabout all the way to our home. Fortunately, half of it was downhill. Now, as I stepped off the bike, saw the fluid, I was really proud of myself for not panicking. I kept a level head as I was able to get the bike off of the road into a safe spot to protect myself and my daughter on this pillion. But once that had passed, I was livid. I was seeing red. I could not think about what logically we were supposed to do next. All I kept thinking was 16 friggin' bikes, 6 months of lockdown, doing tons of research and homework on reliability and service of bikes, and making sure that I chose the one that was going to be the best bike out there. I just could not fathom that this was happening. But as my temper was flaring, it was really great that Dick came in with a level head and say, look, we just have to get this bike home now, and we're not going to be able to ride it. We'll try to get a hold of the shop. They're not open today. We'll take care of it on Monday, but we'll have a message waiting for them as soon as they get into the office on Monday. I was scratching my head. I didn't know how we were going to get the bike home with 2 kids, 2 separate bikes, one of them which wasn't functioning. Dick said, look, I'll take one of our daughters home. I'll get the car, drive back, pick up you can take the car with our other daughter, and I'll push the bike home. Now, even though it was 2 miles and half of it was downhill, he first had to be able to cross the bike across the 4 lanes of traffic of the 406 highway. It would have been amusing if it wasn't so damn scary. But as I watched him frogger the bike across the road and down the first hill, I was just so upset. All I wanted to do was get home, get my bike stuff off, and draft an expletive-ridden email to the dealership. But as I was about halfway home, I realized there's nothing I can do about this situation right now. Not knowing or understanding what was wrong with the bike, I thought I would enjoy the moment. So I swung the car back around, and I thought that it would be a little bit comical watching Dick push this bike most of the way home. By the time I made the first lap and found him, he had done about a mile, which was really great because I think he was able to coast down to the area where there's a flat and it leads on to a park. But then he came to the park, which was really heavily populated for a Sunday afternoon. When he made it down to the park, there were a lot of people standing there watching him push the bike along the road. And ironically, he was wearing an Indian branded jersey. A lot of people said to him, "Great bike, awesome bike." None of them had any idea he was pushing a broken down bike. That was probably one of the longest Sunday afternoons in a long time. But we contacted the dealer, left voicemail messages and an email, and first thing Monday morning, we heard straight from the owner of the dealership, who apologized profusely, and he said he would have a van at our house to pick up the bike by the next day. And certainly enough, the van was there, they loaded up the bike and took it off down to the dealership 2 hours from our house and did an inspection of the bike. When the diagnostic was done and we found out what it needed, they had to order the part, and it wasn't something that was going to be able to be fixed within a day or two. I was without the bike for just over a week, which to me was a little upsetting, being that I had spent so much time shopping for this bike, and I was really sad that this had happened, and also spending a lot of money on a bike that literally on the second ride broke down. And it took a long time for me to come to terms with what was happening. And even when we went down to pick up the bike after it was repaired, I couldn't help but really have to try to swallow hard on what was happening, that this bike had broken down. But when we found out what had happened, and the dealership was really good, they took the part and they came out and they saved it. And they showed us exactly what had happened. And clearly this was a defect in the manufacturing of this part of the motorcycle. I don't want to say I felt vindicated, but I certainly felt a lot better knowing that I had seen the part and that it wasn't something that I had done wrong. It wasn't something that the dealership had done wrong. This was just kind of a 1 in a million freak manufacturing defect. I think at that time it helped me come to terms with the fact that things break. It was just good to know that in this situation there wasn't anything that I could have done differently or could have chosen a different bike. This was literally something that broke, and sometimes things just break. I was really comforted by the fact that they were able to show me exactly what was wrong with the bike. Because during the week when the bike was being repaired, I had said to Dick several times, should I be concerned that if this is not what the root of the problem was, I'm going to be getting a bike back that isn't quite 100%, is not what it should be, is unsafe. And that's certainly not what you want to worry about when you're riding. There was a point in time where I actually started Googling how much time I had to return the bike if something was wrong and couldn't be fixed. Because oftentimes with things that are mechanical, you just never find out what the root of the problem was. And I certainly wouldn't want to have a bike that just was inherently bad. And even though things break, and you can't control when something is going to break and how it breaks or what's wrong with it, in this situation, what made a mountain of difference was the dealership's response and reaction to the situation. I've been in situations before where I have had new vehicles or I have had new appliances and things just broke. And it clearly wasn't my fault, and it clearly wasn't the manufacturer's fault. It was just a defect that couldn't have been foreseen. But it's how that company or how that dealership deals with its customers in improving their worth. And in this case, knowing the dealer that I was working with and not just the bike that I was riding, those things were equally important, that I had a relationship with somebody I knew who could take care of me and take care of my bike. And I was really happy to see that my decision on this particular dealer when I bought my Indian was a wise one, because they certainly made the experience that much more tolerable to me and helping me through what was happening. And never at any time did I feel that they, did not have control of the situation. They had control of the situation from day one. They made me feel super comfortable with it. And when I got that bike back, they assured me that this was the bike of my dreams and I was going to enjoy it and hopefully never see them again for any of that, for that type of repair. I'm pleased to report that the bike is good as new. I've put over 500 miles on it. It's had its first service and now I'm ready to go. No further problems. But I get back home from my ride today to find this letter from Indian Motorcycles in my mailbox. Dear Indian Motorcycle owner, this notice is sent to you in accordance with Code of Practice on Safety Defects, blah, 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 blah. There's a recall on your bike. Please contact the dealership to have this recall addressed. The reason for the recall is that Indian Motorcycle has determined that some 2017 to 2019 Scouts, Scout 60s, and Scout Bobber models equipped with anti-lock brakes, ABS, may experience decreased brake performance resulting from the presence of air in the brake circuit. Affected models may have had a small amount of air present in the system that may cause a soft brake lever pedal feel and a decrease in brake performance, increasing the risk of a crash. They direct us to contact a dealership, and if we're able to ride the bike, they give us tips for a pre-ride inspection, essentially just depressing the front brake and the rear brake, making sure that they aren't too soft, and they return back to their original position. If the brakes are operational, they say that it's safe enough for you to ride to the dealership. If not, contact the dealership and they'll give you a ride with your bike. So it doesn't seem like it's too bad, but again, this is another instance of shit happens. And it was amusing watching, no, it wasn't amusing, it was scary.
If you like that video and you want to see more like them, hit like, share, and subscribe.